Thompson, he's always bad-mouthing us. Well, then stop putting the government above the people.
We don't need you.
Listen up, fools. When I'm talking to you, I'm not just flapping my lips for exercise. I got something to say.
I don't watch this stuff on TV because I don't want to see it.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You think I want to fight with these guys?
One of these days. Wow, right there.
Now, Bernie Thompson.
You're going to the moon.
What I want to do today is what I've been doing on the radio for the last couple of days. And that is to say we have got to ask the right questions. If we're going to find the right solutions, and really there aren't even any solutions. Really, there are trade-offs. And that is the one thing I want you to remember is that we cannot overreact to something that is very serious, but it's not only the virus, the outbreak that is serious. It's the response to the economy, which is to say our way of life, our opportunities, how we take care of ourselves and others. But we cannot overreact because it comes with consequences. I want to share with you some of the lessons. But first, I got to stop this nonsense. I hope it doesn't come down to this, because that would be unbelievable. So, now there are certain things I do recommend. Now that the bars are closed, there's going to be a shortage. And the shortage is going to be serious. So make sure you have what you need to keep your mouth sterile. You can even put a little on your Q-tip and swab your nose, because it's the nose and the lungs. But I do want to tell you some serious stuff tonight. I mean it now. This is, first of all, I want to tell you, I've been approaching this whole thing the last 3 days with an attitude of humility. And I encourage you to do the same, because we all know that there are political opportunists here. We all know there are going to be already are tremendous economic impacts. And my big fear, by the way, is that the economy right now is pretty much completely dependent upon the government. And that's scary. And it's going to get more so. Do you know that they are going to print $700 billion, more than $500 billion, print it out of thin air? They call it quantitative easing. They call it purchasing treasuries. And I call it counterfeiting, but there's a lot of things that are happening, not only at the on a macro level, but also on a personal level. But here's the big question. I'm just going to start off with the big question, because this is what I think we need to be asking ourselves. First of all, we all need to be humble enough to know that this is a new thing. And we do have data, but we don't have enough data to have the facts, right? We know some basic things about this strain of the coronavirus, that it is particularly hard on older people with serious underlying conditions. The average death age is, 80, 81? So we know some things, right? We know there are just more than 7,000 or so confirmed cases. We know that there are, let me find the number, in Florida. Do you know how many confirmed cases in Florida? Oh boy, I have. All right, so as of about 2-3 hours ago, it was 328 confirmed cases in Florida. I think there were 20-some in Northwest Florida. 8 deaths. 8 deaths in Florida. So we are going to have to deal with an outbreak. This is what I'm asking you to remember. Yeah, 8 deaths, James. Here's what I'm asking you to remember, though. We are going to have to deal with this outbreak. Now, we don't know if it's going to be a little outbreak, a medium outbreak, or a big outbreak. We don't know that. We do know it's a pandemic, but remember, a pandemic refers to how widespread it is, not how intense it is. Remember this too. They say that the global mortality rate from the data they have right now, but we don't know how many people have died of it and it wasn't counted as that, or we just don't know these things yet, right? We don't know if it's going to be a big deal or a little deal. I know the economic impact is going to be a big deal. But if we have to deal with this outbreak one way or another, here's the question. This to me is the question at issue. Now, one of my favorite Chinese proverbs, I only know 4, but one of my favorite Chinese proverbs is the more beautiful answer to the more beautiful question. In other words, we have to ask the right questions to find the best answers. And here is the question exactly the way that I wrote it, and I want to be very precise with the question, okay? Would you agree that we have to deal with the outbreak? Whether it's little, medium, or big, we got to deal with the outbreak one way or another. So the question then becomes, would we rather deal with the outbreak with stores that are stocked, resources, and a paycheck? Or would we rather deal with the outbreak with stores that are closed, shortages of basic goods, and no paycheck? Remember, please remember, that there are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. There are only trade-offs. So we have to make the best trade-offs with the information we have right now. And that's going to be very difficult, considering especially all of the political pressures put on the decision makers.